Welcome to the T2 Hubcast. Join Martin, Dave, Spencer and guests as they discuss all things personal and professional development. The T2 Hubcast, brought to you by the People Performance People.
So welcome to the very first T2 Hubcast.
Yeah.
With me, Martin Johnson, and
me, Spencer Locker.
It's like a double team. So we thought we'd make episode 1 of the Hubcast about getting the most out of your hub experience.
Yeah.
So for any new members or any new visitors to the hub, what is the hub? Why have we created it? And what do we want you to get out of it? How should you use it? And how do you get the most out of it? And I think that's really, Spence, what we wanted to just spend a few minutes talking around. So if I kick us off with what the hub is and why we designed it and brought it to the market, is we've been delivering learning and development at Trans2 now for 4 years almost. And we predominantly deliver in the classroom, which would be fair to say.
Yeah.
We deliver in the field, i.e. at client sites. We do workshops, we do talks and conferences.
Yeah.
We do one-to-one executive coaching with various people from in the organisation. And therefore, a lot of what we do traditionally has always been sort of face-to-face, the human element of development.
Certainly, that's what we're all about. It's the human development, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a value to that. Of course, there'll always be a value to that. But one of the bits of feedback we used to get was from people who come on our courses was always around the fact that they loved it, they got value from it, they went back into the organisation, they retained some bits, they were motivated for a period of time, and then slowly but surely, we've all been there, you forget these things, you revert to type, and therefore, organisations and companies and businesses were not getting as much value for their investment in training as they should be.
Yeah.
So we decided to do something about that. And one of the ways we thought we could do that was to give managers and leaders or key professionals in organisations an online resource, an online digital platform that allows them to not only access the content that they've received in the workshops or in training, but let's say they've never been to a training workshop, they could still access content, insight, videos and hubcasts in real time based on the situation or dilemma or decision they were facing.
Yeah.
And that therefore means, in my opinion, if you are receiving content on something specific that's relevant to you right now, you are more likely to act, and as a result, more likely to retain it moving forward.
Certainly, yeah.
Would you add anything else to that in terms of, from your perspective, what the hub should mean to members and users?
I think, following on from what you've said, I think it is one of those immediate things. When we say that where people revert to type, I think there's a lot of the training that we do. They do retain a lot. But it's those times when they're put on the spot, those times when they're actually in the moment. And sometimes they can be guilty of reverting to type, to going to back to sort of a default setting previous to the work that we did. However, when you've got an online resource, where everybody seems to have access to the internet, whether it's through laptops or stations or whatever. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that you got told that you've got a meeting in half an hour about a certain topic, or you've got to you've been dropped in it, and you've got to conduct an interview. And this stuff is the stuff that we've already talked about in the classroom. Oh, what did we talk about then? Can I find my notes? Can I find my handout? Well, actually, I can go online and access the T2 Hive Mind. From whatever location you're in.
And I guess I always use the example of you going about your daily routine as a manager. Something happens which needs dealing with pretty swiftly. You're going to enter into a conversation with a team member, for example, and it's potentially going to be quite an emotionally led or quite a negative or problematic discussion, a performance related discussion, or maybe it's something behavioural where somebody's put a foot wrong or said something to somebody or whatever the situation might be. But they've got time before they rush into that situation and then just have it. They've got time to access the hub, go to management, go to performance management, click on a pathway, let's say that says having tough conversations, or watch a short video and just gain some tips on what should I do, what shouldn't I do, and where do I need to start this thing, and how should I finish it so we leave in a positive manner,
certainly,
both recipient and me. And that's what it's designed to do. And like you just use the example of the interview. You get last minute pulled into it. Can you support me in an interview, or can you? I'm now in a meeting. Can you interview that guy for me, or that lady for me?
Certainly. And
all of a sudden, you're not used to interviewing.
No.
So you can pull something down from the pathway that allows you to structure an effective hour, conduct an interview, ask some timely and intelligent questions, and do a good job.
Yes, certainly.
Yeah.
And it might not be that. It might be a case of you're just between meetings or between appointments or between jobs, and then an employee comes up and says, "We've got 5 minutes, I need to talk." So you say, "Yeah, okay, I've got 5 minutes. Let's have a quick chat." You have a quick chat, and it turns out that they've got a stress issue, or a mental health issue, or an emotional issue. So that quick 5 minutes that you've got, afterwards they've gone, you can access the resources that we've got on there.
So in that scenario, I've got an employee or a member of my team. They've just approached me. They're struggling from a well-being perspective, from a psychological and mental health perspective. They're experiencing stress. I don't want to lose this person on sick, but at the same time, something's got to give or change, or I've got to offer some support. Where the hell do I go with this?
Yes.
And to be able to return to a resource like the hub and look under well-being, under mental health, find out what a manager's role and responsibility is, what they can do on the front line versus what can't they do. That is invaluable, because as we all know out there, and I guess for this podcast or Hubcast, as we're going to have to get used to calling them, for this Hubcast, what we're saying around how can people get the most out of the hub? As a manager or as a leader or a significant person in an organisation, the role is endless. You're usually hired into the role because you was good at something else. Right? It's the only role you get promoted into with no training. You get given a team, a lot of histrionics, and you get, there you go and manage this department, this team. And there's an ocean of different facets that plug into that, and we're not equipped.
No.
Let's face it, we've all been there. We're not equipped to deal with everything. So the hub is like your you call it the hive mind, but I think it's more like, it's like your business hacks for managers. It's your quick access to certain areas where you can quickly educate yourself, find a pathway forward, and therefore be better equipped to deal with the situation.
Certainly, yeah.
And it's not just performance management and managing people and all stuff like that. There's different content on the hub, isn't there? Like understanding the terminologies of business jargon.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, well, obviously, before we start the hub, we've done a lot of research and development on all the subject matters that we deliver on. But when you start looking at things like organisational design,
the viewers won't know this, but you've been researching organisational design now for about the best part of a month. And even for us who are sort of experts in our field and very well versed in all of the strategic end of organisations and business and leadership, we're lost with the amount of information that's out there on organisational design. Now, if there's a manager or team leader listening to this Hubcast that thinks, what the hell's organisational design? Welcome to everybody else's world, right? welcome to Spencer's world for the last 4 weeks. But the point is you've now crafted on organisational design some very clear pathways. You've cut through all of, let's face it, the bullshit. And you've got to the crux of what is it? What does it consist of? And if you're a leader or a manager and you're tasked with looking at redesign or organisational design, what should you be focusing on? What's the approach? And that's an example of what the hub can give.
Because it's a massive it's a massive undertaking. But again, because somebody's been promoted into a management position, and then they get tasked with something because they're expected to know about it, because the managers, well, hold on a minute, I haven't had any training, I've got very little experience, so what do I do? So you hit Google, and then you're stuck there for a month,
and that's
trying to understand what's what. Whereas with the hub, it's a case of let's trim all the fat off.
Yeah.
Let's take some responsibility. What can we do? Who's responsible for it? Take some of the jargon away, and hopefully it should be pretty easy to understand.
Well, it's like I always say, the military. Me and you are from a military background.
Yeah.
You served 22 in the RAF, 24 in the RAF. I served a handsome 5 in the Royal Navy, but I will say senior service, so that doubles your time. So we served in the military. Now, the military is the only environment where before you get promoted into a manager's job, you have to go on the relevant courses. And you have to have the right qualifications before they will allow you to move up in rank.
Yeah.
So by the time you reach a petty officer or a chief petty officer or a sergeant or whatever it might be, or a corporal, you've actually been trained and you've gained the qualifications to do it. Whereas the business world is completely different. They go, hang on a second, you're now the manager. I mean, so that's not strictly true. Some organisations have leadership preparation programs and have talent pools, and the best organisations out there are doing something, but it still doesn't prepare you for taking over a department or a team. And what we're saying with the hub is, we've got categories on the hub here which is leadership, management. We separate leadership and management. Leadership being the more strategic end of things, the organisational culture, the design, the change, the strategic and business planning, and part of it, employee engagement, all of these type of categories. Then we have management, which is relevant for any manager, which is the really operational stuff. So it's how do we hire great talent? How do we develop our talent? How do we retain our talent? Performance management techniques, all this type of stuff. We have sales and customer service out there for anybody who's in those areas who wants to tap into some of our insight there. And then we also have the well-being section, which is really around the mental health, the physical health, etc. And everything is underpinned by the final category, which is performance psychology. Because we're known for that. We do a lot of that emotional intelligence stuff, the social brain, the neuroscience element of performance. So we even give hub members access to the personal development stuff from a psychology perspective, don't we? So they've got everything there, really. What's your thoughts, just finally, on giving them tips? What's your thoughts on the way we've delivered the content? So there's 3 ways in which you can consume. Do you want to talk through them?
Well, so again, we all learn in different ways. We've established this, and we do practice what we preach. And it's it's nice to have a platform, a technological platform that is accessible by all. So why just put words up there? Why just put
pages of pathways and written content?
So people learn in different ways. It might be a case that you've got something to do in the afternoon, so you've got half an hour of lunch. So I tell you what, rather than reading it, I want to watch something. So we've got our the Hubcasts, the video content that we've actually put onto the hub, so we can watch. We have got the written stuff, the pathways and things like that, so you can read if you want. And now we've got the Hubcasts, like this is,
which is audio,
so you can listen.
So you can listen on your commute, on the train, in the car, whatever it might be. And I guess that's on purpose, because we know through delivering thousands of learning development sessions that people learn really in 3 different ways. They learn visually by watching something. They learn auditory by listening to something. And thirdly, it's kinesthetics in NLP, which is they learn by doing, by getting hands-on. Now, it's very difficult to get hands-on with a digital platform. But the pathways give you that, because they give you they give you a pathway forward which you can download by PDF. You can print off, and you can then action and do something about it. So we're trying to, if you like to read, like to listen, or like to watch videos, whichever way you learn best, the hub will provide numerous different bits of content in those areas.
And I think it's this accessibility that's the secret, because I don't think there's anything else out there that does that.
Absolutely. The last thing I want to mention for this Hubcast is the request a pathway feature. Now, yes, there are hundreds of pathways on the hub. There are lots of videos, lots of podcasts, and you can consume all of this information. However, we're always aware that you may not find exactly what you are looking for, because there are millions of different situations in organizations every day. And the beauty about the hub is, over time, it will become more rich with all of these different situations and questions and challenges that managers face. However, the most important thing on there for me is we have a request a pathway feature, which means every single hub member can, if they can't find what they're looking for, or they have a specific query or question or dilemma, they can click the request a pathway button. They can contact T2 consultants, and they can basically ask a question, or they can request some feedback, some training, some guidance, whatever it might be. We will go away, and within 5 working days, we will write a pathway based on your question and send it directly back to the member. And then it stays on the hub for all other members to access. So you get it delivered to you, but it also stays on the hub for everybody else. Now, what the beauty about that for me is, over time, the hub becomes rich with content driven by the member, based on real life situations and dilemmas, and not just us T2 consultants sitting in a room dreaming up the next research agenda, which we like to do.
Well, but again, it's always got to be relevant. It's always got to be, because it's customer focused, it's customer led, isn't it? So if we're giving them what they want, giving you what you want, then it's going to be more relevant to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's relevant to somebody, it's going to be relevant to other people in other organisations.
You know what it's like when you're in a training situation and you're delivering training, and you turn around and say, "Is there any questions?" And one person will stick their hand up and they'll ask a question. You know that there's 2 or 3 other people in that room thinking exactly the same thing, but just didn't have the minerals to put their hands up. So you're looking at request a pathway. It's not just you. There will be people out there with the same dilemma.
And therefore, for me, that's where the value add is. It becomes rich over time, driven by the member, based on things that are happening in real time in organisations, in management positions, and not just what we believe people want to hear. I mean, all that's on the hub as well. Of course it is, because we want to offer some thought-provoking insight and some of the trends we're seeing. But over time, the hub becomes rich. And for me, that is a really important feature of the hub for members, because it gives them access to bespoke, almost consulting on a daily basis.
Certainly.
Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap up this Hubcast, Spence, for our first attempt.
But we'll see.
Episode 1. I mean, obviously it's not our first. It's not our first day at the rodeo, is it? It's not our first gig.
No.
But episode 1, we wanted to just, rather than talk about subject matter, we wanted to just talk about the hub, why we've created it, the value of it, what we want members to get out of it. And, if you're listening to this, have a good browse around. You can search pathways by the categories, by the search bar. You can search video content. You can search Hubcast content, as you know. And if you can't find what you're looking for, or you are unsure, just request a pathway. Send it to us direct, and we'll turn something around for you very quickly. And I think that's how you're going to get the most out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our Hubcast for today, Spence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to the viewers, and we'll see you again shortly.